The Hangar Z podcast welcomes pilot Mike Sill and pilot Johnny Reyes from the Fresno County Sheriff's Office.
I had a gal go off the top of a mountain called Bald Mountain in an ATV, and she was ejected. She went down about 150 feet, did a tow in. We were able to pull her out and get her to a medical helicopter. And there was nobody else available. H-40, no hoist, no nothing. It was, I probably made 20 approaches to this spot before I could get in there.
Really?
It was a downwind approach against a rock wall.
Oh, yeah. Just waiting for the conditions to change just a bit.
Just to burn that extra 16 ounces of fuel.
That's the great part about flying in the mountains with our helicopters. It's just like what works now, 5 minutes might not work, or what didn't work,
right.
5 minutes later, it might work.
It's such a fluid environment.
Welcome to the Hangar Z podcast, brought to you by Vertical Helicasts and partnered with Vertical Valor magazine. We recorded this special episode from the floor of APSCON 2025 in Phoenix, Arizona at the Vertical Valor Hangar Z booth. Joining us today are Deputy Pilot Mike Sill and Deputy Pilot Johnny Reyes from the Fresno County Sheriff's Office Air Support Unit. Mike Sill is this year's recipient of the prestigious Robert L. Cormier Memorial Award, recognizing outstanding achievement in the advancement of aircraft in public service. A charter member of the Fresno County Air Support Unit, Mike recently retired after 25 years of flying, a career defined by dedication, skill, and humility. He often describes himself as blessed, lucky, and fortunate, but his success is a direct result of years of hard work and flying challenging, high-risk missions across some of California's most unforgiving terrain, from just 337 feet at the valley floor to 14,000-foot peaks in the Sierra Nevada. In this conversation, Mike and Johnny share incredible insights from their careers, discussing the power of mentorship, the value of developing personnel from within, and the importance of experienced pilots in shaping a new aviation unit, and the critical role of exceptional maintenance. They also recount some remarkable high-altitude, life-saving rescues that truly highlight the skill and heart behind this unit's work. The Hangar Z podcast subscriber numbers have been climbing rapidly, and we appreciate your support. If you have not yet subscribed on your favorite podcast platform and on the Vertical Helicast YouTube page, please take a second and do that. That small action makes a big difference for the podcast. Enjoy these episodes from APSCON 2025. Thank you to our sponsors, Night Flight Concepts, Spectralab, and Traca Systems.
Welcome to the Hangar Z podcast, brought to you by Vertical Helicasts. The Hangar Z podcast is the first and only podcast dedicated to promoting and exploring the personnel and equipment behind the missions in public safety aviation.
Sill southbound, skidding to a stop. Stand by here. Looks like you're getting ready to bail. Heads up, guys, bailing. Okay, the guy, he's running through the house, jumping the fence, through the shotgun, through something out. Grabbing the shotgun. Don't go over that fence. Don't go over that fence. Grab the shotgun again. He is armed. Stay there. Hold your position.
It's time for your Heli Life giveaway buzzword. Listen up and remember this word because you'll need it to enter for a chance to win exclusive Heli Life gear. Ready? This episode's buzzword is investigation. Visit contest.verticalhelicast.com to enter the buzzword.
Welcome to the Hangar Z podcast, brought to you by Vertical Helicasts and partnered with Vertical Valor magazine. John Gray's with me today. John, how are you?
Good.
And we are at APSCON 2025 in Phoenix, Arizona. And we love these because we're among the helicopters and the helicopter community while we're recording. And we're really honored today to have the guests that we have with us from Fresno County. Deputy Mike Sill's with us.
Yep.
Retired.
Yes.
Deputy Mike Sill is with us. Recently retired. And Deputy Johnny Reyes is with us. Johnny, welcome as well.
Thank you.
Both were and are pilots at Fresno County. And we're lucky because Mike here is the recipient this year of the Robert L. Cormier Award, which is a big deal. I'll just tell you that award is awarded annually in recognition of outstanding achievement and the advancement of aircraft in public service. And our listeners are going to learn very quickly that he has accomplished that 10 times over, and you're a well-deserved recipient of this, Mike.
I appreciate that very much.
You
Thank
really
you.
are. You've done a lot in your agency and for the community. So that's what we're going to kind of aim at today and talk about Mike's background and how he got that. And Johnny's here too, because Johnny's been influenced by this man right here.
Absolutely.
in a big way. And he's not alone. There's a lot of Fresno County people that have been influenced by you, Mike, and Johnny's just one of them. And so that'll be cool to get your perspective.
I have to say real quick, last year we interviewed Jerry Hunter, and Eric Johnson won the TFO of the Year award, and they kept talking about Fresno County. And here we are the year following, and we're sitting down with you guys. So it's interesting. We've been meaning to talk, but it took a year, and we're here for another award that comes on the heels of the award that Kings County won. And they kept saying, you have to talk to these guys. They're doing really good work. Well, here we are.
Yeah.
The information that was passed forward on you, Mike, wasn't just a bio, but there was like 10,000 links in there on things that you had been involved with. So I'm like, holy cow.
It was cool.
Yeah. So
a few GoPro videos here and there.
There were.
Yeah.
There were. That was cool.
It's an honor to be here with you guys. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, likewise.
Thank you.
Mike, you have a lot of unique background, but one of the things that jumped out at me in reading about you and reading about your background is you were a charter member of Fresno County Air Support. I mean, you were you were there from the very beginning, and then spent the rest of your career there, 25 years.
Right? We started Fresno County and Fresno City started a joint venture at the time. New to helicopter program. We had used California Highway Patrol for years prior to that, and prior to that was our own civilian air patrol. Right. At some point around 94, 95, and into 96, they determined that the venture between the two departments was not going to be a viable one.
Yeah.
In the fact that the missions were different.
Oh, yeah.
So, being that said, with the terrain of Fresno County going from 337 feet at the airport to, 14,000, the same helicopter that the city wanted to use was not going to work for the county. And they split factions, and they did their own. It was a big community fundraising. Everybody got behind it real well. But when they started getting down to the details of the missions, that's where we had to split. And the city ended up with the Instrom helicopter. And by a great stroke of luck, Fresno County ended up with 2 MD-500Es. And that was a venture that kind of came about when our current sheriff at the time, Steve McGarian, was at a sheriff's conference, and he met up with the LA County sheriff, and they were talking about, he was telling them, hey, I'm going to get these helicopters, and we're going to do this, and well, McGarian told him we were going to get these Instroms, and the LA County guy, I want to say, I can't remember his name, but I want to say Baca.
Lee Baca?
Yeah, Lee Baca.
He said, Steve, let me tell you something. We've been doing this for a little bit, and I'm going to help you out here. He goes, I got 2 helicopters that are slated for us from MD. He goes, they're yours if you want them.
Wow.
And he came back, did a little research, found out what was going, what the difference was, got an education basically. Yeah. And it went from there. And there were 2 E models, B motors, 4-bladed particle separators. Great valley ships.
Yeah.
But you take those to 5,000 plus DAs, and you got to be really good at power management.
Oh, yeah, you did.
Yeah. So from that point on, those helicopters evolved into what we call the Mini F, 2-bladed tail rotors, R motors, FDC air filters, and we used the heck out of them, man.
Wow.
Great for patrol, and they worked real well when they were down on fuel, in that 10 to 12,000 foot range. You could work the helicopter up there, and then the program evolved in that aspect with those helicopters, and further evolved, obviously, in 2018 with the F model. But for Fresno County, those have been a great platform.
Wow. So that's how it started.
That's how it all started, man. It was a joint venture. I mean, kids had collection of coin jars around town. Yeah. I mean, it was a real grassroots effort to get airborne law enforcement in Fresno County by the whole county, city included.
That's really cool. I feel like those efforts are ones that most dream of when they're wanting a unit. Because the political opposition, I wouldn't say opposition, the political hurdles you have to cross to start a unit are usually fairly large, but yours sounded like you had a tailwind the whole way.
It was right place, right time. And that's how my career, I'm going to chalk it up to that too. But we had the fortune of having some high time CFIs, one from San Bernardino County, a guy named Jeff Shanin, another from Long Beach, Fred Bach, and another from Huntington Beach, Jim Lale. And they all had their unique flying skills. One was mountain, one was very technical, and the other one was a kind of a mix of the two.
Right.
And he and I were the last to benefit. Johnny and I were the last to benefit from the knowledge of these guys, and basically develop our careers based on that, on high time guys that we got to sit in the right seat. And when it went to hell, we got to sit back and watch what these guys do, and we were able to learn from that. And that was a real big help in forwarding, just keeping the unit going and developing the mission and furthering the mission, expanding the mission. We went from just basic patrol to starting to work with vertical reference stuff, external load, and then it went into aerial platform shooting. Being rural Fresno County, those backup units are an hour away.
Yeah.
So we're there in 10 minutes. And that has played out multiple times over the years.
Those 3 CFIs that you talked about, they were all 3 part of the sheriff's department?
They had retired from their respective departments, and they got hired as full-time deputy sheriffs.
Really?
Yeah, so they basically left their career and retired at their respective agencies and came to Fresno County.
Wow.
They were all in that
Very
kind
fortunate.
of... Yeah, you couldn't ask for a dream team, basically.
Did they just happen to live up there, or
no,
did they move there for it?
They all moved down there.
Wow.
Exception of Fred Bach.
That's cool.
Fred would fly back and forth between Fullerton and Fresno on his days off.
That's cool.
He was an airplane pilot as well. And he was our technical guy. He was our real by-the-numbers flying guy. Yep. Jeff Shanin was just the guy could make helicopters do stuff that helicopters weren't supposed to do. Yeah. And then you have Jim Lale that could – he was the wild cowboy.
I would say cowboy, and he could make helicopters do what they weren't supposed to do either. And I was along for the ride of some of those, and I think about it now, and I'm just like, I would never try that. Not even with the F.
How did he do that?
I mean, we were at 10,000 second recess, and he backwards up a drainage, and one skid landed on the glacier to pick up a guy, and it's like I said, what, 10-5? It's just that pass going over to Italy,
rolling into a bowl. Stadium winds, and you're just going in. We're going downwind at like 60 knots.
But the
ground
great
speed.
thing is, I'm doing the backup camera for him looking.
Yeah,
and I had all the faith in the world that.
Yep.
Everything was going to be fine. I just knew it's like, it's going to be fine.
That's special.
Yeah, I whipped the helicopter around and then basically backed it up into just an inhospitable terrain.
Yes.
But it was just, the guy could do that, man. The guy was just phenomenal at flying.
Wow.
And so we got the benefit. He and I both got the benefit of that. So it was just, you can't put a price on it.
Yeah.
No, special CFIs, especially for the work that you guys do at altitude, that's a special skill.
Yeah.
It's different than all the other stuff you do in law enforcement aviation, high altitude rescue stuff, which you ended up being involved in. That you better have a good experienced CFI that knows what they're doing and can do things that you don't expect them to be able to do just to survive and learn. Very lucky that those 3 joined you. That's really
it was like
cool.
winning the lottery for us.
Yeah. Was it all at the same time that they came, or was it over a period of time?
Within about 3 years, all 3 of them were there.
That's
Jeff,
pretty short.
Shanin, and Fred Bach came initially, and then Jim Lale came in about a year and a half, maybe 2 years later, and just developed the program. Yeah. And like I said, it went from everything from start doing the external loads, external human cargo loads. That's when marijuana was really bad.
Yeah.
And we were doing, chasing bad guys through the mountains, doing long line work, inserting SWAT guys, inserting narcotics guys. So it really ramped the program up real quick. But we had guys that already had 20,000 hours of flight time in their books.
Right.
You got Jim Lale working Huntington Beach pulling boats in the surf with a helicopter.
Yeah.
Wow.
You got Fred Bach, flying technical stuff in the city of L.A., and then you had Jeff Shanin working the mountains, and the Prado fire attack helicopters, Hueys, and 500s and the whole 9 yards. So we had such a well-rounded base that, man, it was just like it made the program excel very well, safely, and without a whole lot of concern, so to speak, because of their wealth of knowledge. It worked out great.
Who had the foresight to make that happen? To bring in outsiders?
Luck.
Because it was luck?
Straight up luck, man. I think because I don't think anybody really knew. We were all new at this,
Right. Yeah. Right.
And Lee Baca told our sheriff, hey, this is what you need to start out with, and how I don't recall how those guys came to Fresno. It may have been a job flyer on.
It could have been, yeah.
Well, I don't know. I want to say the internet, but I don't know if the internet was around like that.
I don't think it was around.
It wasn't much of an internet.
Newspaper, probably.
It probably came out in Porak or something. Helicopter pilot needed or something. Word got around that SO was going to be starting a deal, and they may have contacted us at the time, or at least Jeff may have. I'd have to ask him. I don't recall that. But, man, like I said, it was just instant wealth of knowledge and experience, which you can't ask for any better on a startup.
Well, that's – I mean, that does take foresight. Somebody had to approve that and say, hey, we got to get some outside people with high time that can get us on the right foot, right, and get us going in the right direction. Not every unit does that.
No.
I mean, and some struggle and some don't exist anymore.
Yeah.
But somebody there said, oh, that's a good idea. Let's run with it. And over 3 years, you bring in that wealth of knowledge and hours. That affects that unit to this day.
Oh yeah,
that decision.
For sure, 100%.
I don't think that's exaggerating at all.
No.
So very cool.
Yeah,
that's a cool start. Well, I wanted to touch on that because I don't know many people that were there day one to retirement.
Yeah,
all those years later. That's really cool.
Blessed, lucky, and fortunate. I mean, and I'll say this. I've said it 100 times, man. It's like getting that Willy Wonka golden ticket, cash it in, and eat chocolate. It's so cool. I'm the luckiest guy you guys have probably ever interviewed. I'm going to tell you that right now. It worked out really well.
You know what? Your passion and enthusiasm for the industry still shines through your smile today.
It does.
You've retired after a career in law enforcement and public safety, and you love it. A lot of people can't say the same thing for the things they do, and I think those are the kinds of things that attract people to our industry, to this particular part of public safety and public safety aviation, is because you see folks like you, you retire after a lot of time and you still love it.
Yeah.
I love to see that smile.
We had a killer county to fly in. He's going to have a killer county to fly in.
Well, I think we've said it so much. I mean, they gave us this helicopter. Hey, go chase bad guys, go rescue people, and fly it. And the 20 years that I've been there, there's never been a time where hey, stop flying. We don't have the money. The county has, the sheriffs that we've had through the years have supported us, and that's what he says. We're flying around and we're having fun. It's how can you not smile?
We're getting paid for this.
We're getting paid for this. I mean, we might have said that a few times.
Sure, you have. Everybody that's ever worked air support, if they haven't said that, there's something wrong.
Yeah. Now, granted, we went through growing pains,
of course,
and every unit goes through that supervisor.
There was some ups and downs.
There was some ups and downs, but I'll tell you what. Right now, I'm gonna say in the last 3 years. 3 years. I mean, it was a Cinderella ending for me because of the supervision that we have in there.
When every second counts, trust Night Flight Concepts to keep you mission ready. With advanced night vision technology, FAA certified repair services, and expert training, we've got your six. Visit nightflightconcepts.com to learn more.
I think we touched on that the other day. Jack and I were talking. I said, I think where the program is right now as far as supervision, the way we made the transition with Mike leaving and having some young guys stepping up, we're in a good spot. We thought that maybe Mike leaving, it was just going to really impact us. But I think we all kind of made it work. And like I said, it all starts from the top as far as supervision and someone having the foresight to say, hey, we need to start training these young guys because Mike's leaving, boom, and
Yeah.
During the time from inception to retirement, how many different sheriffs were there in that time period?
Steve McGarrion,
Pierce,
Mims, and now John Zanoni. 4.
So now you have 4.
Yep.
Now there's a lot of deputies out there listening to this going, wow. And they stayed consistent through 4 sheriffs because that doesn't always happen.
That's true.
One sheriff can come in and say, we don't need them.
Yeah.
Well,
and you're gone. I mean, right? So you had support of 4 sheriffs over the years.
Yeah. So I think Mike touched on it with the 3 guys that we brought in. I think there was immediate success with the unit as far as what we were able to accomplish and what they did. And then it just kind of grew from there. Like, the rescues, the time that we saved for the SAR guys and the patrol guys were seeing the benefit of it. So I think when it started, like, the benefit was like, okay, hey, the county this big, like, I don't think we can do without it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But with that said, it only takes one sheriff.
That's true.
That says, this is really expensive.
Yeah.
Or whatever. And,
Right.
and they just don't believe in it. Not everybody is sold on what we're sold on. I mean, we hear those stories all the time. You've heard them over the years. So that's very fortunate that you had 4 supportive sheriffs, and it allowed your unit to continue to thrive and do the good things that you knew you were doing without resistance. I mean, you said it, Johnny. They say, here's a helicopter. Go catch bad guys and rescue people. Fly. You know?
Yeah.
And you didn't get, okay, now we're not going to fly for a while. I mean, that's amazing that you went that long. So good.
Yeah, that has been I'll touch on it again. It's been one of the things we haven't had to worry about. And when you don't have to worry about where your base is, you're able to go out and perform, I think.
Yeah.
And like you said, catching bad guys is fun. I mean, that's the fun part. I mean, they're either going to run out of talent, crash or run out of gas or something. Yeah. But the rescue work is where I got the most reward. It's reward. That's the rewarding part.
Yeah.
And when he and I have, rescued some people that if we weren't there, or if not just we, but if that helicopter wasn't there, they would not be here with us today.
Absolutely.
And we got a pretty good video of rescuing a girl that was pinned under a log on the river. And
yeah, credit to Mike, because Mike started doing the whole GoPro thing. Like, hey, you always said, like, if you didn't get it on video, it didn't happen.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And so, like, it's just amazing. Like, we record something and it's kind of like put it out there, and everybody's like, hey, that was pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, the big deal. I mean, they're good. Quick thanks for them, but we go back and high fiving and throw our rescue gear all back in the helicopter and head back home. And man, that's the best. That's all you want to do is just have fun, and that was the rewarding part of the career.
That's so cool.
No doubt.
There's been multiple people we've spoken to throughout the last day and a half at APSCON who've talked about either being a new unit and they're trying to develop SOPs and develop a successful unit, or they're an existing unit and they're trying to grow their program to be more efficient, effective. For you, looking backwards, since the inception of the program, outside of luck, what would you say is the most important thing for these agencies to look at in developing their programs?
Developing your people from within. You need that guy to start off as a TFO. If he shows the aptitude, he becomes that pilot. He does the good job there. He promotes to the senior guy, and then that guy promotes into the supervisor, and then he becomes the lieutenant, the captain, and then it's so important, I think, for whomever's running these units to have a real good understanding of what it actually takes to make it happen.
Yeah.
You always hear these units, I got guys making aviation decisions that, never even been on an airplane, except when they took their kids to Disneyland, and, it's expensive. You're never going to get away from that. But giving your guys the support and giving your guys the in training and making your unit safe as possible, but developing those people within and having them stay in. It's for me, it was a life.
Yeah,
it truly was a life, and I dedicated everything to it. I changed what I did on my days off. I didn't go out. I'd stop snow skiing. I stopped water skiing. I stopped doing stuff that would injure me on my days off because, when you're in a unit of 5 guys, it's important that you show up to work.
Everybody's kind of dependent on you.
Yeah.
You're not there, and then, all right, somebody else is picking up the shift or whatnot.
So you got to have a good group of people. They're not always going to get along, and I don't want to say I encourage a little bit of headbutting, but I tell you what, I've had headbutting, and their friendships even grow stronger.
Yeah.
When you get a good core group of guys, they've got to all mesh and work together. Yeah. It's important that you select those people early on and get a good commitment from them that this is going to be your career, because it takes so much to develop a TFO.
Yeah.
It takes so much to develop a pilot. And I hope I don't piss anybody off, but there's helicopter pilots and then there's mountain helicopter pilots. That's just the way I kind of feel about it, because it's a unique, that's even one step further along in the process. And that's by the nature of Fresno County. Now, you work in areas that you don't have mountains, back east where it's flat, but those guys are still doing rescue work too. But I'm going to kind of go out on a limb and say, we get to go do some cool stuff in some cool places, and everybody has their cool spot that they go do. But I mean, it just takes so long to develop that. You need a commitment from people that, hey, I'm going to be in this unit probably for the rest of my career.
Yeah.
And I think that really makes a big difference in how the unit will progress. And you train a guy up, and in 3 years, he's you know what? Thanks for that commercial helicopter rating, but this just isn't for me. I'm out of here.
Yeah.
How much money did they just spend?
Yeah, so Fresno PD is right down the way, and they've got a great program, but they've had a high turnover rate as far as they've trained their TFOs to become pilots, and then they left. They went back to patrol, and it was like 2 or 3 times, and we never understood, why. It's like, I don't know. So it's like, well, did they not pick that right person that was going to, like you said, fall in love with it and stay there? And it just always kind of blew our mind that it's like, did you hear he went back to patrol? Like, what? He's not flying anymore?
Who would do that?
Yeah.
The selection process is tough, and we'd like to talk to people about that because everyone's looking for, a creative way to select people that is effective. But one thing you said, and it'll probably remind you too, in our conversation with our folks and friends from Phoenix, they talked about culture and the importance that plays in the unit. That's probably the most important determining factor of the success of your unit is the culture that you develop. And I think that's what you're referring to. And one other thing you said that I liked, it reminded me of Lieutenant Jake Durham from Oxford. He talked about not intentionally starting arguments, but throwing a grenade in the room for the intention of creating a conversation and growth to come from that conversation.
It's got to happen, man. Somebody's got to pull the pin.
Yeah.
Because that's the only way things progress or new ideas come about or an issue is brought up or discussed. Somebody's got to pull the pin, and, man, we're all good at pulling pins, know?
Well, it's like for the benefit of the unit, right? Like, why are we doing this?
Yeah.
Because it's what we've always done. Well, why?
Yeah.
Starting those kind of conversations, I think, are great. And sometimes it's hard to answer those things. I actually don't know why we've done that forever.
A perfect example of that is when we first started, man, all our SWAT guys wanted to ride on the outside of the helicopter. It was the coolest video. It was coolest picture.
Yeah, all the old SWAT guys all have a picture of it.
I got that picture of me on the outside of the helicopter. I mean, all this stuff. And pretty soon we're like,
what are we doing?
Man, so
why are we doing
the
this?
whole 30 seconds out, 30 seconds, and the guy's like 30 seconds. And, and these guys are unhooking on the side of the helicopter and holding on 300 feet up,
Yeah, and it's like, I'm counting. I'm like, this ain't 30 seconds. Like, I got about another minute to go, guys. Hey, slow down.
And then you have the all abort. Abort.
Yeah.
Pitch forward, pull in power, and off you go because the LZ goes hot. Well, these guys are holding on, trying to hook back onto the helicopter.
Maybe not being able to.
Thank God nobody ever got hurt. But we're like, why are we doing this, man? Like, this is crazy. Let's pull the back seat out. Take 2 less guys, because you're going to be heavy and hot.
Fly them internal.
You can go a lot faster. The transition out of the helicopter to the ground is half a second, maybe 1 second more.
Yes.
So, I mean, you develop that stuff. And, we got away from doing that cool, fun stuff, but it's all for the better.
Yeah.
And that's just one example. And a lot of other things have transitioned that way through having those conversations. Look at the safety is always important. That's number one. And I said, or actually I've been told, the best safety procedure is your maintenance. And we have been so fortunate, man, especially this last.
Yeah, we've been really lucky.
We've got top maintenance. I'm going to say it. We use Heroes engines, Blake Davies, freaking, I've actually gone to their facility and told all their employees, thank you.
Yeah,
because I would not go to 14,000, do one skidder, and put somebody in the back end without knowing that engine's that's not even a concern.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not even a concern.
Right.
You got to have those bases, that strong base. And once you got that strong base, man, it's fun and rewarding.
Like I said, you have that confidence. Like our maintenance guys, like if it's you're the day shift, like they pre-flight it before we pre-flight it, and then they do the post-flight. Like he's going through and cleaning it all up. And then you're walking out and you're feeling bad because like Dan's still like checking it out. I was like, hey Dan, we'll see you tomorrow. And he's like, all right, yeah, just gonna finish this post flight here. I was like, all right, cool. But I mean, he treats them like his babies, and it's like
you gotta have a buy-in by everybody.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's, like I said, developing within. Your maintenance has to have a buy-in. You know, it just makes the base.
Yeah.
And when you have that base and it's strong, man, you can go vertical.
Love
No
that.
pun intended, but man, you can go vertical. Pull pitch and off you go.
And the maintenance, you talk about it a lot because you're over on the MRO as well and podcast, and it's the unsung heroes of maintenance, right? I mean, you don't exist without that.
You don't
You're
exist
not going
without
anywhere.
maintenance.
Yeah.
I mean, you can have all the money in the world. If you don't have a working helicopter, it
You're
doesn't
not doing
matter.
anything.
Yeah.
None of those rescues happen. None of the lives are saved because you can't go because you don't have a helicopter that's working. The fire guys always talk about this. I mean, we just had the LA County crew chiefs on that talked about how the people that made the firefighting possible during Palisades and Eaton weren't the pilots and the crew chiefs. It was the maintainers.
Yeah.
Because they were flying so much that they're doing work all night long. They're working long hours, just waiting for them to get back to rush in there, knock it out, doing
100%.
jobs in half the time that it usually takes because they got more people there so they can go fight fire. So I love that you brought it up,
And that's
Mike.
real important that your pilots, everybody in the unit has a relationship with your maintenance. And it's a good communication. I mean, you're talking about aircraft maintenance planning. You know, a month from now, when we're in the middle of summer, do we want the F model down?
Yeah.
Right.
You know, or do we want, we need to have something available to go to the mountains in the summer. You know, that's just, you got to make that plan. And that's where good maintenance can make. I don't know if there's ever really been a time that SO has been down for maintenance. Now, granted, you have 3 helicopters, you got one available.
I mean, we've had some down, but like you said, the part with the maintenance is like having that relationship with them where you can go and sit down and talk like, hey, what's coming up and what can we do? You know, and it's like that helps to keep these helicopters turning. And so it's like, we have 3. Sometimes we have 1, but it's rare that we have none.
Yeah.
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 While we're on the topic, let's talk about your maintenance. It's obviously in-house.
In-house.
And how many and how does it work?
Contract through advanced.
Advanced helicopters.
But they're at your hangar.
Yes.
You're not taking it places to get
Monday
worked
through
on.
Friday, 2 guys, 5 days a week, and they're available for call-outs on the weekends.
Oh wow!
And so they stagger their shifts. One comes in a little bit later, like at 10. The other one's there at 7, so that someone's there like all day.
Yeah.
Even for the night guys, you know. So it makes it really good. And you know, we'll jump in the hangar and we'll help them pull blades. And I see the new Mike and Norby. They're there talking to the mechanics as they're working on it and learning. You know, and that's what I mean.
Hey, when you're stuck on the side of a mountain,
I think sometimes they would
it's
tell
good to
Mike
know
like,
how to, click it up one notch to get it to fire. You know, you're on a long cross country and your oil temps, for some reason it keeps rising and you're just like, what the heck, man? You decrease power and it goes down. Well, shoot, you gotta land, rip the back apart, and find out a hose is off. You got it. It's very important that everybody has the buy-in and everybody has a little bit of knowledge. It makes you respect the machine a lot more. And
I think we've helped them pull engines, pull transmissions, so many times. Like,
That's cool.
And it's fun. It's like, okay.
It's a race team, man. I mean, you're in there in the pits, man. It's but you have to be.
Yeah.
Well, it's like Mike said, like knowing your aircraft, knowing what everything does. So then as you're looking at it, it's like that is not right. Like that is something's off with this, and then it makes you a better pilot. It makes you a better, I guess, a team member for the unit. Yeah.
Thanks to our sponsor, Traca Systems. With over 25 years delivering groundbreaking searchlights, stabilized EOIR cameras, mission mapping, and downlinking solutions, Traca products improve situational clarity and coordination with ground crews, increasing mission safety and effectiveness. Visit tracasystems.com. See clearly, act decisively.
I'm sure they appreciate it too.
Yeah.
That culture.
Oh yeah.
From you guys.
Yeah.
They obviously see that you're giving them that respect and that they deserve, and the way you work together and you're learning from them and you're eager to help, and If I'm the mechanic, if I'm that maintainer, I'm thrilled to be with you guys. You know, with that attitude.
We got an older guy, Dan Olick.
Yeah.
Just, man, we think he speaks like eight languages.
Yeah.
We don't really know what his background
sure
is.
He used to work for the CIA.
we think he worked for the CIA.
Yeah.
You know, he always talks about being over in the sandbox and, you know, stuff that he can't really tell us what he did. But, you know, we kind of embellish on that, you know. And then we got a wealth of knowledge. Yeah. A wealth of knowledge. He's a pilot.
He'll rattle any
FAR off.
Just, and, I mean, he's... Yeah,
amazing. So you got him, and then we have a younger kid, Chandler Hughes, who's just a sponge, and he's just very by the book. He's learned from Dan, and so on that maintenance side, as in the unit side, they're doing the same thing. You know, they both have a buy-in, and Chandler's, you know, he's the future.
And Dan is just filling him with a bunch of knowledge, and Chandler's taking it in. He's just like. Yeah.
I mean, the kid's building his own airplane or rebuilding an airplane. I mean, the guy. So, I mean, we are so fortunate. It's almost like that golden ticket. Man.
That's cool.
It's been a Cinderella ride. Oh man, it's good.
I don't think it was that good. From what Johnny and Mike are saying, I think it was kind of
not
average.
very believable.
Hey, it's the Cinderella Air Support. You can call us that.
My gosh, it sounds fantastic.
Yeah, so good stuff.
Wow.
Man.
Anything else on this that you're thinking about with maintenance? Because you're more into the MRO side.
I just think it's great. The culture you've created isn't just on the flight operations, the flight crew side. It's also on the maintenance side. And everyone's pulling in the same direction. You know their mission, they know yours, and you're all pulling in the same way.
Yeah.
That culture is hard to find and hard to establish. So you guys have done that with some intentionality, and that's very commendable. So well done.
Yeah, it's worked out phenomenal.
So let's go to our recipient of the award. Our award is recipient, Mike.
Gotcha.
And let's get your background. Tell us about yourself and how you ended up in law enforcement and then into aviation. How did that all come about?
Man, aviation started young. A couple uncles had airplanes, went for a couple airplane rides, you know, then just went through life. Originally from Bakersfield, ended up over on the coast going to Quessy Junior College, and then I had to make that decision on what I was going to do. Come from an ag family. Supposed to go ag and come back and work for the family. And I had an uncle tell me, he goes, you need to find a job that you provide a service, and preferably, do something government, and he goes, you'll have a good base and a good career, and you'll have a good life, and you think about retirement. I was 18 at the time. I'm 19. I was doing construction, odd jobs. I'd done everything. I was the Aurora Grande District Cemetery gravedigger for a a while. Wow. I've done it all, man. Wow. So
that's a cool nickname, gravedigger.
So had to make that decision where to go to school. So just picked Fresno State. Called my mom and dad up and said, hey, I'm going to Fresno State. And they're like, oh, we went there too. Great. Ag program's great. Well, it's not going to be ag. It's going to be law enforcement, and what the heck? My mom had a cousin that was in law enforcement, but pretty removed. Anyway, ended up being a reserve deputy sheriff while I was at Fresno State, and got involved with the sheriff's department. Started off as a reserve in the civilian air patrol as a TFO kind of deal. And then, like I said, the whole thing evolved with I ended up getting picked up full-time. And then a couple years later, they started the air program. Very fortunate. I had been doing some of the work in air support that they had at the time, and it kind of led into maybe I'll be a good fit. And I was very fortunate. Got selected into the unit as a part-time TFO.
Yep.
And it just built from there.
Wow.
So I figured I'd gone out and got my private fixed wing rating right after I got hired. Thought I was making all this money. Yeah. So it cost me $3,000 to get a private fixed wing rating.
Yes, listeners. He just said it cost $3,000 to get a private fixed wing. For those
now it's $30,000. Jesus,
can you believe how it's gone up? Man. It's crazy.
So I got selected in the unit. So I said, well, I'm going to be in these helicopters. I was well learn to fly helicopters. So I went and paid for my private rating.
Wow. And
then got fortunate enough to fly as a TFO, and all our guys were CFIs. Started getting a little stick time. think, well, I finally made it enough time to go do a commercial. So I went and did my commercial rating. And then they're like, oh, okay, well, got some aptitude, you got a commercial rating. So they had a in-house training program with these guys, and we've kind of been doing it all along, and just kind of start really getting into that. And then pretty soon I was like, 500 hours, and I could be a relief pilot. So a guy calls in sick or wants a day off or on vacation, I can come in and cover, and started out going down that road. And then pretty soon one of the guys retired, and they moved me into the slot. Wow. And rest is just history.
Wow.
Yeah, it went from there, and it just worked out, just kind of just flourished from there. Very fortunate.
Wow. What airframe did you learn helicopter rotorcraft on?
The R4 22.
22.
Best training helicopter there is.
Yeah, that was your first experience in that. Yeah.
I figured, and it's funny because I'd flown a little bit in the 500, and then I figured, well, I'm gonna go learn to fly helicopters, and that got out there, and man, the rodeo was on.
Yeah.
I thought, oh, what have I done, man? I just paid all this money. I go, there's no way I'm able to fly this thing.
If you can fly that thing, you can fly anything now.
I know. So after that, after you find the hover button,
yes,
5, move from 5 and 10 hours.
There's a hover button.
There
I missed
is.
that one.
Yeah,
I missed that button too.
Yeah,
and it was a lot more than 5 to 10 hours.
Yeah. So you know what?
I missed that button. Darn it. Where is it, by the way? What color is it?
Yeah, exactly.
Man,
it's a figment of your imagination.
Exactly.
That's what it is.
But isn't it funny how it just clicks one day?
Yeah, you're just like, oh man, I think I can do this.
Yep.
And went from there, man. It just worked out really well.
Very cool. Johnny, give us your background. Give us the thumbnail of getting into law enforcement and then aviation.
So, aviation-wise, I was a kid watching Top Gun.
Yeah. Here we go.
Yes, sir. Here we go.
I had model airplanes in my room, posters, and I was like, my dad was in the Army, and I was like, I'm going to go to the Air Force. I'm going to learn how to fly a jet and whatnot. And so my dad is like, no, you're not going. But so I was 13, and my mom got me a flight, one of the introductory flights, like a little Cessna 152, and he took me up the river up to Pine Flat and around the dam, and came back and landed at Sierra Sky Park. And so, I was like, that's it. I'm going to the Air Force. I'm gonna learn to fly. Well, that didn't happen. I was like, Dad says, nah, you're not going in the military. So graduated high school, junior college, and just working at Bonds. I'm working at Bonds, and I'm like, what am I doing with my life? And my wife at the time was like, maybe you should just go to the academy. I was like, you know what? Maybe I should, It's like, so I joined the academy, graduate. I get picked up by the sheriff's department, work in patrol. I'm out working on the west side, and Mike comes out for 6 months. We work together day shift, and we're just running around catching bad guys. And we had one sergeant that nicknamed us the Chicken Hunters. Sometimes we'd get chicken, sometimes we'd get feathers. And
I like that. That's funny.
It's really good.
And so then Mike leaves the area, and he's back in air support. And then I get into a specialty unit called OSS, Operation Safe Street. We're helping detectives look for bad guys and all that good stuff. And then Mike calls me up one day and just says, out of the blue, he's like, hey, have you ever thought about putting in for air support? And I was like, yeah, that's where all the old guys go, dude. There's no way I'm getting there. That's where the guys go to retire. It's, the fun job. He's like, no. He's like, we want to get, some young guys in here, some young blood. And, he's like, I think you'd be perfect. And I was like, at that time, I wanted to go into narcs or vice. That was my mindset. I want to be a narc officer. So I put in for the unit. And the day that I go for the interview, they take you on a ride just to see if you're going to get sick in the helicopter. And that's the first time I've ever been in a helicopter. So I get in, I'm like, okay, this is pretty cool. We go do the ride, do the interview. I get a phone call like, hey, you've been selected as a TFO. I'm like, awesome. Get in the unit and immediately fall in love. I start June of 2005. So the doors are off, we're flying, it's rescue season, and it's just like, this is cool.
How cool is that?
Yeah.
And so about 2-3 years into the unit, the guys are all kind of teaching me how to fly, and I'm just like, I can fly this thing. Like, why can't I be the pilot? Like, and I'm looking at all the guys in the unit and Jim Lale and Chris Osborne, and I'm like, man, these guys are getting old. Like, they're gonna be gone soon.
No offense.
Yeah, I'm like, they're gonna be gone soon. Like, so I went down to Chandler Airport. They got a little helicopter school, and so I paid to get my private, and so I got my private, and I came back to the unit and said, hey, I got my private, and then so they said, all right, well, if the guys let you fly, you can start building your time, It's like, all right. So I think I had about 500 hours, close to 500 hours. And then one of the guys, Chris Osborne, comes in and says, yeah, I'm retiring in 6 months. I'm out. So it's like, all right, well, Johnny, how many hours you got? I'm like, about 500. Sweet. Jim, you're flying with Jim for the next 6 months. And you guys are just going to train to get your commercial. Because I still hadn't gotten my commercial. Get some mountain flying in. So Jim Lyle and I, for 6 months, like, we'd go fly, and it was autos and in the mountains. Like, we did not fly in the valley at all. It was just straight in the mountains and land here. Let's do this. And that was probably the best thing that could have happened to me. I get my commercials, and like they said, the rest is history.
Wow.
Go ahead, John.
Real quick, something that reminded me of something one of my older pilots used to say. You're probably mad that I said that, but he said one of the most dangerous things to do as an older pilot, getting ready to retire, is to walk up or down stairs behind or in front of a young TFO who wants to be a pilot. He'd always joke, like, you're going to kick me down these stairs, aren't you? I'm like, I don't know, maybe,
but better watch.
Yeah, that's it's funny.
Hey, he mentioned something, and I'll just backtrack real quick about selecting people for the unit, the TFOs and stuff. Everybody's like, oh, do I have to be a pilot? Do I have to have flight time? Do I have to love helicopters? Do I have to do all this and all this? We tell everybody, all we want is a good cop.
Yeah,
you got to have a good cop, man. You can't have a guy sitting up there and go, oh, butterflies, you got to have a good cop, man. And he was a good cop.
Well, now he's reading my mind, because my next question to you was, you called Johnny.
That's
you
right.
didn't have to call Johnny. You could have called a lot of people. You called him. Why?
Good cop.
Straight there you go.
Up.
You answered it. That's really cool.
He and I worked together, and we got out there and hustled, man, and found bad guys. You know where the bad guys went. You know what they were going to do. Yeah. And you that's one thing you can't really train. I mean, you can. But you can train the pilot stuff. You can train, the techniques and using the FLIR and the night sun and talking on the radio. But unless you got somebody up there that wants to go out and find, stuff. Yeah. You see a truck, backed up to a shed at night, that's not normal.
Yeah, something's going on.
Something's going on, man. And you can't have a guy go, well, that looks good. Yeah. You got to have that guy, hey, turn around.
Yeah.
We got to watch this for a minute. And, good cop. I tell everybody, you gotta have your guys be good cops.
What a great compliment, Johnny. Yeah, what he just said. I mean, that was why. There's no better compliment.
Yeah, and I think we touched on this the other day. I think that phone call probably changed my life, because I don't know where I would be today. 20 years. I mean, just the stuff that we've done. None of that would happen if he wouldn't have called me and said, "Hey, what about air sport?" And I look back, I'm like, dang, thank God.
Can you picture where you were the day you got that phone call from him?
Thank you to our sponsor, SpectroLab. SpectroLab, a pioneer and world-leading supplier of high-intensity searchlights for all para-public operations. Visit www.spectrolab.com to learn more about our third-generation Night Sun series high-intensity searchlight. When reliability and performance is critical to your mission, count on SpectroLab Night Sun searchlights.
Yeah, I was in my house on Hornet in the master bedroom, and I'm
oh my God,
I'm walking. I was just pacing around, and I remember what the bed looks like and everything. I was like, I knew exactly. And I know the day when I got the phone call saying I was selected for the TFO, I was in the kitchen looking out at the pool. I'm like, dude, I'm going to air sport.
Yeah. I asked because really cool. I remember where I was and everything around me when I got the call from my friend, hey, you should think about going to air support. And I never had thought about the fact that I could go to air support. I thought, kind of like what you were saying, I thought you had to be, well ingrained in aviation culture, have been a pilot, have had to do something to do with aviation, not just to be a cop. Like, I was just a cop.
Yeah.
So my mind was blown. And I remember where I was. I'm like, holy cow. I think everybody can remember that place you were when you either found out you got selected for something or there was a possibility. That's cool.
Yeah.
But one thing that you've said it again, and we talked about the other night, is, and I think this is common, it's worth talking about. There's a lot of people in departments across this country that have a perception of what air support's about and who gets there and why and that. And many of them are wrong. You were wrong, right?
Yeah, I was wrong.
Thought, it's not this. And then once you find out, oh my God, I'm eligible for that, then you can put your mind to it. Yeah. So maybe a lot of agencies need to think about that and go, we need to do better at telling our own people, early on that, hey, this is an achievable goal. Yep. You too could be in this pilot seat or this TFO seat someday.
The new deputies, when they do like their orientation, they take them around everywhere. And just a couple weeks ago, they brought a group of like 8 guys to the hangar to look at it. And, they hadn't even, I don't think they had their guns yet, or they still had to go to the range to qualify. And I told them, and I've told, if I'm there when the new guys come around, I just tell them the story. Like, hey, I started just off as you guys, didn't have any aviation experience, because, they're like, oh, this is awesome. Like, you could be here. You could be me.
It's important.
I go, but it all starts with, like, today, like, to be a cop. Like, learn to do that job, be good, be the best at it. And if this is what you want to do, like, why not? Yeah. Like, that's important. When we look for somebody, we're looking for a good cop. Like Mike said, that's someone that's, A, they're a good cop, and then B, like, hey, do you think they have the aptitude to kind of take it to that next level?
Right. Very important.
When we're marketing, we talk about marketing a lot, social media, and the things that we do to market ourselves as an aviation program. I think a lot of people just consider the fact that we're marketing to the general public. But no, we're actually marketing to our own personnel, because like you said, you want them to understand this is something you can do, and this is what we do. Because a lot of people don't even have an idea of what our capabilities are, right? They just think, oh, you just fly around and look out the window. You're like, no, that's not what we do. There's a lot that goes into it. But it's also marketing towards admin, personnel, city hall, those folks, so they understand what it is we're doing. So to your point, I think it's important for us to consider the fact that we need to market to our own personnel to, drive the recruitment efforts and help people be like, oh, I could do that, so.
Think of the people over the years, and we don't know this number, you can't name them maybe, but think of the people over the years that did not apply, never applied because their perception was, I'll never get there, I don't have that aptitude, they don't need me, it's where you go to retire, whatever the reason is, and they never even applied. Some of those could have been the best TFOs on the planet, for all we know, our best pilots. And it was interesting. When you said that the other night, I thought of it too, and I immediately thought, well, for me, it was Pat McNamara. He made that call to me to say, hey, have you ever thought about this? And I'm like, not really, even though I worked the previous 5 years under air support as a canine handler. Every single night I dealt with them. Yeah. And I thought, wow, that's pretty cool. But it wasn't on my radar that I could do that. And it took Pat saying, Jack, I know you could, and here's why. And he gave me the list of reasons. And I'm like, oh, I was completely ignorant to it. And then I apply, I get there, and I look back and go, thank goodness Pat did that. Yeah. Thank goodness Mike did that for you, made that call and encouraged you to do something. Do you have a person?
Kevin Hart.
There you go, Kevin Hart. I thought it was Kevin. You mentioned this before. I mean, that brings us to the listeners. You're sometimes a mentor without even knowing you're a mentor, just by making a call and saying, hey, you ought to think about this. And look what happened. You said it changed your life. Well, it sure changed ours.
Yeah, and Mike's definitely been that mentor, whether I've told him or not. I've recently told him since he's retired. But, flying with him, we were partnered up together for years. I mean,
long time.
And, I had my license, or I was working towards my license, and it was always like, I'm going to be as good as Mike or not better. Like, he's a great pilot. And my goal is to be better than Mike, and so it's like, I'm still working on it. It's
a good thing to strive for, right?
Still working on it. Yeah. But I think it made me a better pilot and made me, want to keep,
Absolutely.
started doing the mountain stuff. It's like, okay. And like I tell the guys that I'm training now, it's like, hey, let's just go fly in the mountains, get comfortable. And let's just take it. It's
a great attitude.
Just take it step by step.
Because think about it. If you were just like, well, I'll never be a Mike. Well, maybe you won't be, but that's not the right thing to think about. You should think like you were thinking, Johnny. I'm going to be better than Mike, because now, especially in some of the flying that you do at high altitudes, where it's very unforgiving.
Yep.
I think that's a good word. I didn't do much of that. You guys do, but very unforgiving if you aren't on it. Yeah. So you should be striving to be better than the guy that is really good. That was a great attitude.
Yeah, I've told these guys, I go, you have to push yourself. I go, if you don't push yourself, when it comes time to have to perform, and you're not going to be able to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, it took me about 3,000 hours of flight time before I even felt like, okay, I'm in the mountains and I can do some stuff.
Wow.
3,000, maybe even 4,000 hours. And then every time I got in that helicopter, man, I just headed east out of Fresno. I mean,
much of that 4,000 you're talking about was in the mountains, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you were experiencing it. It wasn't like you were avoiding it.
Yeah.
You were in it.
If there's one thing about a helicopter, man, it'll talk to you. And you got to listen to it.
Yeah.
And the only place it'll talk to you is when you're pushing it. And you have to push it when you go to the mountains. Yeah. And, you're flying 50 feet over 150-foot trees. You're hovering down 100 feet into a hole, between trees, to get next to a creek that a guy's having a heart attack at. Or some gal went off a mountain and you got to do a tow in on a rock so they can load her in the back of your helicopter. I mean, you don't go out and practice those things, but Johnny started, I started with Johnny, and Johnny started with his guys. Everything you do at sea level is going to translate and amplify 100 times over as you go up in elevation.
Yeah.
If you can't do it at sea level,
Yeah.
you got no business going in the mountains.
Oh, yeah.
And,
That's for sure.
And that's just the environment our county lended itself to. So that's what we had to adapt to, and that's what we had to practice for. That's what you had to have the mentality for. You can't be afraid. You scared the shit out of yourself a lot.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, man, that left pedal, I got pictures of that left pedal walked out way far, going across a little, mountain lake at, 13,000.
Yeah.
But, I'll tell you, the F model is a beast above 10,000. Yeah. My highest D landing is 14,800.
Wow.
And that was with 350 pounds of fuel, 2 guys, and gear.
I think it's one of those things where, so you learned up in the E model.
Yeah.
And so then I learned all the mountain stuff in the E model too. So then when we got the F, it was like the first rescue we got, it's like Duck Lake, like 10.5. I'm like, all right, well, let's see what it can do. And then it was just like, holy crap, this thing's got freaking power, dude.
Yeah.
Like,
Big difference.
Oh, yeah.
Big difference.
Big difference.
You brought up time to perform. That reminds me of your quote.
Yep.
Your famous quote. It's written on boards everywhere. What's your quote?
When the time to perform arrives, the time to prepare has passed.
That's
Nice.
That's
And
huge,
it's just a fact.
man.
I mean, it's just a fact. It's
Yeah.
really true
Yep.
in everything you're talking about, especially at altitude. But it's true in everything. I mean, I always say that it applies to kindergarten teachers, it applies to surgeons, and it certainly applies to cops. But especially in rescue, which is, so unpredictable.
Yep.
It's one thing going out and flying down in the valley and flying orbits over perimeters and patrolling and stuff. It's a whole other beast to go up to 14.8. I almost fell out of my chair here when you said that. I mean, and most will never experience that. I haven't. I mean, I've been up in the mountains, but I've never done that. But I know from being at 6, 7, 8 that what that's about.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my gosh, that takes courage, skill, experience, trust.
Yeah.
A lot of things that you obviously had and have passed on to other people, but really amazing. Really amazing. Back in, we were talking about Mike being the award winner. Well, we also have a prior award winner here at APSA. And in 21, you were the Air Crew of the Year. What was that about? How did that come about?
So I was a pilot. My partner, Greg Villanueva, we're flying around. Call comes out of a rescue on the Kings River. 8-year-old boy is gone under and drowning or has drowned. So we're off. I think we're probably maybe about 15 miles from the airport, and we were just crossing over the airport when the call came out. They said they pulled him out of the water. He's on a little island on the river. So we see him immediately, and just I hook around, land. My partner runs out, and so then I had a GoPro video on, had it on video. So I remember just spooling down, thinking, all right, what are we gonna do here? My partner just grabs him from the family that's doing CPR and is running back, and I'm like, all right, we're going. Mm-hmm. Throws him in the back and is continuing to do CPR. I'm on the radio now, talking to the guys on the ground that are trying to find us. So they said, hey, we have an ambulance up here above the river on a ledge or whatever. It's like, all right, so pick up, find the house, find the ambulance, land. My partner runs off, and I was just like, the kid didn't make it. I'm just like, the kid didn't make it. There's no way. He comes back, and he's like, they're taking him. So then we get a call later on that night, like, they flew him to Valley Children's. He's alive. He's breathing. I think he was there for a week, and then he came out.
Wow.
Nothing wrong with him.
Jeez. Wow.
Nothing wrong with him.
That's incredible.
Yeah. I mean, it was pretty cool. And, like, the family even invited Greg and us to their house for Thanksgiving. And a couple months later, and we spent Thanksgiving with them. And,
beautiful.
Yeah, it was like Mike said, like, you catch bad guys all day. And, I mean, yeah, I'll catch bad guys all day. That's fun stuff. But when you rescue somebody and, like, they're, you see that and just like, dude, that's special. It's cool.
I think Calmaker's got the best shirt going, man. Helicopters save lives.
Yep, it's true.
And man, it's a tool that's
because there was no river boat. There's no way the guys on the ground were going to be able to get them. It's like just small island. So like, we were just fortunate to be in the air to get there quick enough to grab them. So it's just like,
wow,
everything worked out.
I heard somebody say something one time about helicopters, and they said something to the effect of helicopters, because of what they do, will save more lives than they'll ever take. We lose people to helicopter accidents and mishaps, but not in the same way that we save people. Like what's happened in Texas, that one Coast Guard guy.
Yeah, that was amazing. I saw those numbers. I was like, holy cow.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah. But kudos to you. That's an incredible story. Gives you goosebumps thinking about that kid, that family, the fact that kid now gets to go on and live a full life because of your actions.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Wow. Well deserved. And then you also was looking at your background. 2016, you had a life-saving medal.
Well, Mike and I got that one together.
Is that together?
Yeah. That was
let's hear about it.
Rescue.
We got both parties. Go ahead.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of the Hangar Z podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe to hear more stories that promote the personnel and equipment behind the missions in public safety aviation. Lastly, stand by for a message after a word from our sponsors. Cheers.
Thanks to our sponsor, Traca Systems. With over 25 years delivering groundbreaking searchlights, stabilized EOIR cameras, mission mapping, and downlinking solutions, Traca products improve situational clarity and coordination with ground crews, increasing mission safety and effectiveness. Visit tracasystems.com. See clearly, act decisively.
When every second counts, trust Night Flight Concepts to keep you mission ready. With advanced night vision technology, FAA certified repair services, and expert training, we've got your six. Visit nightflightconcepts.com to learn more.
Thank you to our sponsor, SpectroLab. SpectroLab, a pioneer and world-leading supplier of high-intensity searchlights for all para-public operations. Visit www.spectrolab.com to learn more about our third-generation Night Sun series high-intensity searchlight. When reliability and performance is critical to your mission, count on SpectroLab Night Sun searchlights.
That wraps up this episode of the Hangar Z podcast. A huge thank you to our guests, Deputy Pilot Mike Sill and Deputy Pilot Johnny Reyes from the Fresno County Sheriff's Office Air Support Unit for taking the time to join us here at APSCON 2025 in Phoenix. It was fascinating to hear about the evolution of the Fresno County Air Support Unit directly from one of its charter members. With a combined 45 years of flight experience, Mike and Johnny brought incredible insight to the table, sharing stories of high-altitude rescues, life-saving missions, and the dedication it takes to fly in some of California's toughest conditions. In Mike's words, there are pilots, and then there are mountain pilots. Johnny's reflection on Mike's mentorship really stood out, showing just how important it is to build the next generation of air support professionals through guidance and example. To our listeners, thank you for tuning in and supporting the show. If you've enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, leave us a review, and share it with your friends in public safety aviation and in law enforcement in general. Stay safe, and we'll catch you the next time on the Hangar Z podcast.